Well, we've got some encouraging signs on the stimulus front. I don't want to get people's hopes up, but we're looking more and more likely that we are going to see a stimulus probably before the end of the year, if not right after the end of the year. That's good news. Now, how this will unfold is anybody's guess at this point, but there are a number of things that we should talk about that are on the table, which is good because we absolutely need this. As this country is descending back into COVID chaos again, millions of people with permanent job loss, those jobs are not coming back, facing eviction during the cold winter months. These people need help. These essential workers, as we've talked about here on the show, 1 in 5 essential workers, 1 in 5 grocery store workers has COVID, who are being forced to go to work, making barely, minimum wage, if that, or a little bit more. If they don't work, then they're out of work. What are they going to do? So they're going to work, doing this amazing job of providing food for us. And yet there's not social distancing that's able to take place at these grocery stores, and they're being asked to come in. And meanwhile, their millionaire bosses are, making billions while these workers are getting sick. So hazard pay, frontline worker pay, contact tracing, money for vaccine delivery, all of those things are on the table. Also on the table at this hour are $1,200 stimulus checks. So we've got a couple of different avenues here to talk about. President-elect Joe Biden has already been having meetings and setting up economic meetings on a stimulus plan. And there are, as I mentioned yesterday, there are a number of executive actions that are on the table. One of which I said yesterday gave me chills, which would be a transformative executive action, which is, and this is something he could do without Congress. And he will, because he's already said he will. And he's having discussions about it, according to the Washington Post already, which is to wipe away up to $50,000 in student loan debt per borrower. It's not per family. So if you have a relative that has $30,000 in student loan debt, gone. I mean, I got chills again by that. I mean, it almost brings tears to my eyes. Because one of the things, as you know, if you've been watching my show for any length of time, I think it's horrible that in the United States, our young people are saddled with student loan debt. And why I talk all the time about if you don't need to go to college, like if you don't know what the return on your investment is by going to a college, don't go. But if you know that, hey, if I go and become a doctor in 12 years, I will make this amount of money that will pay back my $400,000 student loans. That's understanding your return on investment, right? You're investing in your own brain. So if you're like, I'm just going to go to college because my parents want me to, and I don't know, I'm just going to study some stuff and I'll be, $70,000 in debt when I get out. But hey, it's what mom and dad want me to do because they want me to have that college degree. Have your mom and dad call me and I'll set them straight. Because unless you know what that return on investment is, it is a waste of money. Again, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be an architect. You know you have to go to school. You're going to be an engineer. You have to complete a certain number of years. But then you could map that out and figure, in 7 years, I'll be actually able to have paid fully back my college in the United States. But in the United States, our college system is just killing our young people, saddled with enormous student loan debt for degrees that are becoming less and less important. Google doesn't even care if you have a college degree. Are you competent? Can you code? Great, you're hired. In fact, in many jobs are now not even hiring you if you have a college degree. They're looking at it as a detriment. Oh, you wasted 4 years when you could have been using that time like in the field, learning and working as an apprentice, etc. So $50,000 in student loan debt wiped away would be amazing. Also, I'm hoping, and there's discussions about that debt side of it as well, like just regular credit card debt, not even tied to student loans, because after all, 3 in 5 Americans don't have a college degree. So what about the people that have been using their credit cards to pay their rent? Or what about the people who just wrote me before the show this morning and said, hey, my credit score was over 700. Now it's down to 500 because of COVID, because I can't pay the bill. Now that's hurting their financial future, their ability to get a loan in the future, their ability to buy a house. So some of these executive actions, making it illegal for the credit card companies to ding your credit with COVID-related hardship. Hallelujah. Wiping away credit card debt completely up to a certain level for Americans hit hard by COVID. $50,000 in student loan debt wiped away by executive action. We don't need Mitch McConnell, Turtle Boy, to approve it. He can just do that by fiat. Also, I'm going to go through some of the other things. Direct stimulus payments to the American people is what Joe Biden wants. Of course, that would still have to be passed in a new stimulus legislation in Congress because he doesn't have the power to cut new checks. And we'll actually have to wait to see when the House of Representatives is back on November 16th. So we have 6 days until the House of Representatives comes back in session, and then they'll start the negotiating process again. So I'm going to get to the timeline here in just a minute. Once more stimulus aid is authorized, it's expected that the payments of up to $1,200 will be sent out to people who the IRS considers an adult, and it will happen in de facto priority order over the course of weeks or even months, according to the reports. It'll likely start with the people who set up their direct deposit first, then went through the paper checks process. How many people watching right now received a paper check versus direct deposit or vice versa? Let me know in the comments below, just to get a sense of what people are dealing with here. And then the people who are also paid by that EIP card, who don't have a bank account, the unbanked individuals. There are also a few other groups in this. So that's where it's going to go. Direct payment, then check, then likely the EIP card in that order. So here are some timelines. Okay, here's some timelines to take into account for when we could see this. So there's 4 different scenarios. So scenario 1 is hoping that Congress in this session gets something done and that they would pass a final bill by December 11th. It would go to the Senate. The Senate would then they would sign off on it, pass their bill on December 12th. The president signs it on December 13th. The first direct deposits would be issued on the week of December 28th. The first paper checks would be sent on the week of January 11th in the new year. And the first EIP cards would be sent the first week of February. So that's the first scenario. You can see the other scenario here. That would be after Biden becomes president, and they would pass a final bill in February. Senate would pass it in February 2nd. President signs it on February 3rd. Be distributed at the first week of February, basically. And then, of course, a little bit the other scenarios. So these are all based on the current timelines that we've already seen from the current process, how quickly they could get these checks issued. But the reporting this morning from the Washington Post shows that Mitch McConnell is now wresting control back of the stimulus negotiations from this is from Fox. I'm going to get the sources right here. This is from Fox, that they would be pulling this back, that Mitch McConnell is basically saying bye-bye to to Steven Mnuchin. Bye-bye. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. I just won re-election. You guys are out of here. So now, according to this reporting from Fox, Mitch McConnell is now pulling this back, and he's going to assume a larger role in negotiations. Mnuchin, of course, failed to strike an agreement between Nancy Pelosi and Democrats during the weeks leading up to the election. And also, White House negotiators were often totally out of sync with the Senate Republicans. They weren't on the same page. You had President Trump saying that he wanted a bill that would be larger than $2 trillion. Now you have Larry Kudlow yesterday basically saying, no, we don't want it to be anything over $2 trillion. But it's like, wait a minute, didn't President Trump say he wanted it to be like 2.5 or even larger than what Democrats and Republicans wanted? Like, what changed? Oh, an election? That's convenient. Grover thinks that's a pile of crap, don't you, buddy? Mr. McConnell moved swiftly to plant markers this week, urging lawmakers to reach an agreement around a new COVID bill before the end of the year. He wants them to get this done before the end of the year. He pointed out data released Friday showing that the jobless rate had declined to 6.9%. He's saying that's why we want to kind of stick to this $650 billion proposal, which is far less than the $2 trillion that Nancy Pelosi wants. Yeah, you want to keep sticking, you want to keep talking about that jobless number, which you can shove up your, you know what? It's garbage. It's a garbage number. We know it's garbage. I've been saying this for months, how terrible that number is. It does not account for the 10 million people whose jobs are never coming back, the 20 million people who are currently unemployed, the people that are losing their houses because they're so behind in their payments. You gave a crap about the $5 trillion you gave out to the biggest billionaires in the country. But what about the people who are the frontline workers who are getting COVID working at grocery stores, the people who are losing their homes? You're going to cite this job data as an indicator? It's garbage, right, buddy? It's total garbage. You think about that. It's a big pile of crap. This, I think, was interesting. Take a look at this tweet, or this information in a Wall Street Journal article. You know, how well did those stimulus checks actually help people? Turns out they help people a lot. And guess what? How it might have helped President Trump during the election. It turns out that it helped during the election. It helped him actually win Latino votes, specifically in Florida. So President Trump could thank the fact that his signature was on stimulus checks going out to people in Florida. Take a look at this tweet, or this Wall Street Journal that I highlighted here. After the stimulus checks, the Border Patrol agents and the mayor started to see memes of Latinos holding out their hands to Papa Trump for money. If we speak in the language of memes, he said, there were a lot of Trump as this fatherly figure who was going to help you. So the Latino community, who was badly hurt by coronavirus, was seeing this as thank you, Papa Trump. Others said they appreciated getting a pandemic stimulus check bearing Mr. Trump's signature, which showed he cared about them. Of course, this is what Nancy Pelosi feared, right? Great. So we're past the election now, Nancy. You were worried about people getting a stimulus check with Donald Trump's name on it, which you said was political propaganda, because it wasn't coming from President Trump. It was coming from Congress, but his name was on it from the Treasury. Yeah, I thought it was horse crap, too. Come on. It's like a free piece of political mail for the election. You know, here's your Publishers Clearinghouse check signed by Donald Trump. Honey, Papa Trump loves us.
I don't wear a toupee.
So it's a shame. It's a shame, Papa Trump, that you guys couldn't get a broader stimulus package through, even if your signature was still, like Nancy was like, fine, I don't care. Put the signature on it. Let's just get it done. Imagine in Arizona how that could have looked if Papa Trump had sent out a stimulus bill, a package before election. It turns out it worked. And it turns out people voted for Donald Trump as a result of it. Amazing, isn't it? It's amazing how sending money to people works. Shocking, I know. So this timeline is looking more and more likely. And I'm hoping that scenario one is the one that out for stimulus, that we could see this stimulus sent out by really the end of the year. One important note is the speed at which the first checks might arrive, because in August, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said it would take about a week to process the first payments. He said, quote, I can get out 50 million payments really quickly. A lot of it into people's direct accounts, he said. So why can't the IRS just send all stimulus checks at once? They so far have sent 160 million, but they said basically the IRS said it can deliver 5 to 7 million pieces of paper stimulus checks per week. And that's what they said they can handle. Direct deposit recipients would get that much more quickly, and it's faster and more efficient, but a lot of people just didn't have the bank account to do it, so they didn't have it set up. And Social Security beneficiaries, of course, are the first people that would receive this, because when the first payments went out, they had direct deposit information on file. They were able to get it through that first week, sometimes even on the first day, Social Security recipients. So that's good news for that. And the Economic Impact Payment debit cards are those prepaid Visa cards. They sent out about 4 million of those in mid-May. So if the IRS follows that same payment priority order, this group could see those checks the first weeks, in the first direct deposit weeks. So we'll see. But that's good news. Look, I think there's an opportunity here now that the election has passed. Both parties agree that something needs to be done. Joe Biden already saying, hey, okay, if you're not going to do anything, there are a number of things I'm going to do, including student loan forgiveness, massive student loan forgiveness, wiping out debt from people's credit cards, eliminating hardship. So if you got credit payment, or you have your credit score was hurt, other things would be extending the forbearance program for people that can't pay their mortgages, rental moratoriums. It would be great to see rental assistance as well through some sort of FEMA aid, if they're able to redirect some of that money, even from the HUD money or Housing and Urban Development money. There's a bunch of different things that President-elect Biden is looking at right now. So that's some good news on the stimulus front. I believe that something is coming. We need it. We need it desperately. And you're hearing from the Federal Reserve over and over again that, yes, we need to get something done now. We needed to get it done 2 months ago. So they're getting pressure now from Wall Street, from the Federal Reserve in much bigger ways. So good news there. So we'll keep our eye on the latest news on this right here on our channel. Be sure to subscribe. If you are new here, please subscribe and smash that like button that lets YouTube know that you care about us. And we can send this out to more people so they can learn about these stories as well.